Hey, welcome to Gracie Schwarzwald, and we're here with our complete Gracie Self-Defense Course, and I'm here with Erkan Mete, and we're going to continue talking about takedowns. Something I want to explain that's really important, some ideas about how we look at takedowns from a self-defense perspective. One of the biggest fallacies or problems people have when they train martial arts, and you hear me talk about this all the time, is that they think because something works great in one combative arena, that it works great in all of them. Meaning, if this move works great in sport jiu-jitsu, it'll work just as great in self-defense. If this move works great in MMA, it'll work just as fine in police tactics. So people will just rank things. This is the best move, period. Okay, and that's not the case. You have to understand that what is best or worst, if you even want to use those terms, is completely dictated by the situation, right, and what you're trying to do. So I often will see people learning takedowns, and a lot of the takedowns are free takedowns, especially dropping your knees on the ground, going to the ground with you. So often they'll learn wrestling or judo because those are very good takedown systems. The problem is, in either of those arts, do you have to worry about punching? No, right? There's no punching in either of those arts, right? So I can come out in wrestling. I can be here, for instance, right? Because I don't have to worry about you throwing any punches at me. Both those arts, are there ever other people fighting you?
No.
No. Are we on mats in both those arts?
Yes.
Yeah. So do I have to worry about going to the ground in those arts? No, right? I can be perfectly fine going to the ground. So we are going to learn a lot of these techniques are going to be with a more of a self-defense focus. We will see techniques that will be a little bit more sportive setting and restrictions or freedoms, if you will. But it's very important that we understand these differences. So I'll see people who only ever learn a single leg a certain way. And it works great maybe from a wrestling perspective or a BJJ perspective. And then I'll do it a different way. And they'll say, oh, well, that's not as good because X wrestler doesn't do this. Not understanding that I'm changing it for a variety of reasons. And some of those reasons are maybe I have to teach somebody who doesn't have this wrestler's attributes, right? If I teach a 55-year-old secretary, she's not going to be Jordan Burroughs, right? She's not going to have his speed and everything. Also, we're having to deal with punching. And again, very important, we're also having to deal with a different situation. Okay, so a lot of our takedowns are going to be focused on that, on a self-defense mindset. And the big two things that we're really going to focus on is this something that an average person can do, right? And also, what is our primary focus in self-defense?
Get away safely.
Right, survive the conflict, get away if we can. Secondarily, from a self-defense perspective, what is our idea? Controlling someone. So it's not about I jump in, I hit you with a scissor leg takedown, and I heel hook you. Right? That's fine, but there's a lot that could go wrong or a lot that's not very applicable to most people's combative situations. Somebody's in the parking lot pushing you and doing things like that, trying to hit you. So a couple of the things we want to talk about. First is, for the beginners, and we talked about this in a previous video, a lot of our takedowns want to be done from clinches. Okay, I don't want to be out here doing this, trying to get grips and stuff, because what are you going to be doing in a real fight? Blasting me, right? So that's very important. Learning how to, just like you'll see later from the guard, learning how to be able to do things from the guard close up rather than sitting back like this from the guard where the person on top is going to be doing what? Hitting me. Okay. Now sometimes you have to learn it this way so you can learn it from the more self-defense perspective. So we're working a lot from the clinch, but we will learn again from a further out grip and then from free shots. The other thing is I preach to people is try not to go to the ground with the other person. Okay. If I choose to go to the ground, that's one thing. But if all my takedowns are I put you on the ground, but I'm on top too. One, right, I can use the ground to control you, right? But if things go bad, you're now using the ground to control me, right? Maybe you roll and get on top of me, and now I'm stuck underneath you, right? 2, if you have friends, what are they going to do?
They will kick in.
Yeah, they're going to come in and start beating me up too, stomping on me, right? 3, what if we're rolling around, I'm on glass, I'm on pavement, things like this. I don't want to do that. Even the takedowns, the free takedowns rather than from the clinch, I don't like to slam my knees on the ground trying to hit a takedown. You know, almost every double leg and single leg you see, people are dropping their knee to the ground, which on a matted surface works great, right? But in a reality, you're going to be, if your instinct is to do that, one of 2 things is going to happen. You're going to do it, maybe tear up the knees, or you're going to freeze and try to figure out a way to adjust this technique on the fly, right? Which means you won't be very good at it because you haven't practiced it, and you'll be hesitating in a fight, okay? So as we proceed, you'll see some techniques that you will certainly know if you've trained any, but they might be done a little bit differently. That doesn't mean that they're just a bad version of the technique you know necessarily. It means that I've probably modified it for a different reality. Again, a self-defense reality. Now, again, some of these techniques I'm going to show are more of a sportive reality. But again, I want to come back to, I'm trying to show it in a way that an average person could do it. And that if I'm out in the parking lot, what would I do, right? So, you know, a sweep single where I'm sliding around on my knees, hitting us on a parking lot, I'm going to destroy my knees, okay? So I just really wanted to cover that. The couple more concepts I really want to cover is a lot of the techniques you're going to see, we're going to practice it very, you know, just doing the technique without him really moving around, okay, just so you can see the technique. In reality, it's very hard to do a technique when he's got good base. Okay, so in reality, you know, we're always going to be moving the guy around, getting our kazushi off balancing. You know, if I'm here, I'm snapping him down, shooting off of that. But the videos aren't going to really work into that. That's something you add in on your own. Lastly, there's going to be 3 categories of takedowns. Takedowns involving the head, takedowns involving the body, takedowns involving the legs, okay, or our clinches. We covered that in the clinch section. There are 3 major clinch areas. You want to have takedowns for all 3. Again, I'm revisiting the idea so that I can work from here to here to here, back up. All of these situations, I have 3 levels of attack. But the main thing I want you to take away from this is more for self-defense. So we're going to prioritize working from clinch positions, working techniques where I stay standing, because if I do this and maybe I get into a situation, I'm able to break and run away. Can you chase me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Still, I want to try to get away. But if I take you to the ground, boom, and then I run away, it gives me a head start.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if I take you down, but I go to the ground with you, there's no running away.
That's it.
Okay. And again, there's times where we'll do that. So what I'm really trying to get you guys to understand is you can take the same technique and modify it for, you know, self-defense, mixed martial arts, military, police, combatives, sport, BJJ, and they'll look different because they'll have different purposes, but it doesn't mean that this is just a bad version of this or vice versa. It means if you've done it right, they are almost different techniques. Okay, so that's something that's really important to understand going forward. And if you are a beginner, where you should spend your time, right, is, you know, not coming out here in class and always learning how to shoot free double legs, because again, if you're out on the street, that's a really sketchy proposition, is me trying to shoot free doubles out here against somebody who's trying to punch, and I'm on the ground throwing my knees, versus again, I cover, I get into clinch, I can work from here. So just want you guys to understand that really important, some of these really important concepts.